The Minbaris are pretty, as Push Nerd says, and this I picked up on this myself. Minbaris are hypocrites. They're still mad at him for winning a battle. I mean, that's what I think too. The Minbaris come in, they basically kill all. They win every battle, destroy umpteen how many Earth ships, and they're mad that one guy got a couple licks in. I mean, he got one of their best ships for sure, but I mean, it's war, right? You can't we're so mad that you guys finally did a good job. You finally did your job properly.
Why maybe that was off? And
I mean, shouldn't we be pissed off at them for the war? I mean, I'm sure there was many more. We lost some of our best warriors. Yeah, but I'm sure we lost a lot more warriors than you did. We lost every battle except that one.
Well, as you said, the warrior class are very prideful.
Yeah.
But apparently, there was an interesting with I forgot the Great Council guy's name. Hendron, did you say?
Yeah,
Agron.
Yeah, when he was talking to Sinclair, and I forget what he was like. Sinclair said something, and he's like, "We don't need to tell you that," or whatever. And then Sinclair kind of said, "Is it this?" And he kind of looked at him like, "Yeah." And then he proceeded to then become more forthcoming. It was like, "Oh, I'm not dealing with an idiot here," I'm, So to me, it was like another point where Sheridan kind of gained respect, even from this guy that didn't like him necessarily. That was a nice little moment, in my opinion.
Quoting a Klingon ruler, "We don't forgive or forget."
I just think you got you're in a war. You got nothing to be pissed off because the other guy finally did something right. Like you won every battle, and now you're we're pissed off that you won one. Like,
we won. This guy won one, so you're mad. You're mad at him because he figured out.
Should I be mad at you because you won every other battle?
You killed what,
way more of my guys,
thousands of my warriors.
Yeah, and we're going to be holding. We're not holding a grudge. Maybe you guys should get over it, right? It's a little bit, especially the war. Like again, I don't know what I think the Minbari, they seem to be based on a Japanese style culture, but if they're warriors, losing battles is part of being a warrior. You shouldn't, well,
it's honorable to die that way in battle, right?
You shouldn't be holding it against your enemy, when you're, we're going to be pissed at you forever. I mean,
yeah. Well, and they did have a name for him, and the name was Starkiller. That's what he was, they nicknamed him Starkiller. Because it was the Black Star.
The Minbari were ship. Yeah. Remember the Minbari were in the war were on a rampage.
Yeah.
And yes, Weatherman, it is.
And they were in a rampage, and suddenly they just stopped.
Yeah.
And the way they, and the way it was said on this episode, it's like the Great Council didn't tell everybody. Yeah, they always keep things to themselves, and they didn't tell the warrior cast why the war was over.
Okay, let's dive into that in a second.
That is an
before you get into that, I mean, I agree, but then the Minbari warrior cast shouldn't be mad at Sheridan for doing his job. They should be mad at the Great Council, which they are as well. But you don't take it out on, Sheridan was doing his job just like they were doing their job killing humans. Well, he's doing his job killing Minbari.
I think you might be overplaying it a little bit. He's an enemy to them still, to some degree at least, and there's more complex stuff going on, which you just alluded to. There's internal things going on, and it might be easier to point to him, right, and say, oh yeah, we're going to be angry at him, even though they're really angry at, like, say, the Great Council or the
and they also point out that they had no say in the matter of him being appointed,
right?
Whereas they did with the
Sinclair.
With Sinclair. So,
but they also are the ones that wanted Sinclair as the ambassador, so they can't really complain.
They can't have their cake and eat it too. Well, yeah.
Well, that was still the Great Council. That was not the warrior cast agreeing on that.
Right.
You got that quote? Can you bring up that quote? That last one there.
What's that one? Which one?
The last comment. Yeah. It brings up a good point. It says Minbari hate Sheridan because he used dishonorable tactics. In there, that's Yeah, right. From their perspective, mining things that was dishonorable. So they're a little pissed at him for that reason, specifically. But there is one other detail in here that.
Well, we don't. Is that okay? But you're getting that from the future, right? From an episode later on when you have more detail. Is that not correct?
I think they probably get into it in more.
They don't actually say in this episode that what he did was dishonorable. Like he doesn't. Like no, that's not. I didn't see anything.
I didn't hear that in this episode.
Right.
I don't deny that it might be true, and you could see how the Minbari would think, oh, he mined a bunch of asteroids instead of, that's fighting dirty.
Well,
he ambushed us, but I don't think it's in the episode per se. That's my point.
Unlike the Minbari, I think I'd rather live and be dishonorable than die an honorable death. That's
not an honor culture.
Why you're not a warrior?
Yeah.
But also you have to bring up that the Minbari don't kill Minbari, sort of similar. I'm quoting another science fiction here.
Right.
Planet of the Apes. Ape shall not kill ape.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they do.
Although Kalain mentioned something like he made some crap.
Maybe it's time to start.
Yeah. It was, right. Which
might be some foreshadowing.
But he didn't start though.
Right, but it could be.
He's not willing to be the one to break the rule.
Because Lanier, remember what Lanier said. He was like, "Either you shoot me or let me go back to what I was doing."
Yeah.
Right.
That was a nice moment for Lanier. But so there is something that's maybe a contradiction, or maybe speaking to what Sheridan knows, and that is that when the Great Council guy, he didn't announce himself as Great Council specifically. Like he's like, who is he? He's like, oh, he's from Ministry of Culture or whatever,
right?
Like CIA guys being called State Department,
that's
kind of
dishonorable.
Well, they're very secretive. They're not. That's right. Well known. But the point is, he leaves, and then Sheridan's like, that guy's got to be Great Council. Now, okay, fine. Sheridan's sharp and about that, but remember when Sinclair first heard of this whole thing, or about what are the Great Council called? Their honorific?
Satai,
right.
Satai,
yeah. Is when, he looked it up and it's like, oh, Great Council, so it's like, it was they know their computer system, their history knew that there was something called the Great Council, but Sheridan seemed kind of unfamiliar with it, right? It's like, it's not a common thing that people know about, but Sheridan did know about it, right? So either that was a bit of a contradiction, or telling
Sheridan's a captain. He outranks.
By
one.
Yeah, but Sinclair was also the leader of this important station. Him not knowing that didn't make sense if it was something that was known.
Yeah,
well, he might have.
Well, now he's an ambassador. He is a full-fledged ambassador now.
You're making a good point, but I just think with Sheridan would probably have a few more years of command experience overall, so he might be exposed to more stuff. He's been running his own ship, so I can see why he might know these things, and Sheridan and Sinclair might not. But
that's fine. I guess we're speaking to it. The Sinclair thing was hey, you're just kind of on your own out here. You get no backing from anybody, and everyone can come and kick you out of your position. So.
Well, it's easier to write that than to get complicated with extra characters and extra storylines.
Yeah, maybe it's a weakness in the writing for that first season.
They did point out that he had read the reports from the station.
Okay,
so it's very possible that he had learned about the words Satai and elite and stuff like that in some of Sheridan's reports.
Yeah,
or Sinclair's reports rather. Yeah, Sheridan probably learned about them, and a lot of the other, minutia conflicts between. I'm sure we'll see soon.
The chat disagrees with me. They think that that's
knowing something and hearing rumors. Yeah.
And that's okay. I think it was reasonable the way they presented it. I don't think it was strange. It's just something that I found notable.
But I even think that the fact that there is a Great Council would have probably been in one of those reports.
Clearly it was in. Yeah. Sinclair looked it up and it was in the computer, so it wasn't.
There was one entry,
unknown,
as I recall. One entry for
Satai. The Satai thing, as this. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah. So.
The name was.
This might be. You might be correct about that.
Yeah.
With the two, not that it applied to them.
Well,
and it was nice. Somebody pointed out it was nice to see a female elite that was acting as a commander, even if she did blow the ship up in the end.